Welcome to the Making Moves with Mal podcast. In every episode, you'll hear stories from individuals just like you that are trying to make an impact. They'll share their unique journey and some helpful tips that got them to where they are now. You'll hear conversations with people from all walks of life who are trying to make some moves. Now, here's your host, Mal.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Making Moves with Mal. I'm excited here because I got my boy Mike from City Home Inspectors. We met a couple years back and we've been kind of using you exclusively kind of for all of our home inspection needs for all of our clients. And our clients say nothing but good things about you guys and all your service and all the inspectors that you have. So I'm excited to have you here, man. I'm looking forward to hearing your story and your journey. And now this is gonna be a good one. So let's start with just how you guys got into that, how you got into the home inspection.
Yeah, for sure.
Business.
And first, I'd like to say thank you for having me on. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah,
But yeah. So we basically the whole story started with my mom. You know, for those that don't know, Baxi Rodriguez is my mother, and she's been in the real estate game
for years,
forever. Yeah, and I always say my name is Mike Ramos, and I've been in the real estate industry for my entire life. Yeah, So when we were growing up, my mom, she became a single mother. My parents got divorced. I think I was about 9 years old. So It was me and my brother and my sister, three of us. Yeah. And she had to figure out a way to make it. She had a corporate job at the time, and it fell through. She got laid off, and then she had to figure something out. So she pivoted to real estate. She got her real estate license, and she just went for it. She went all in for it, and then she did great. So we were doing that. I remember as a kid, driving in the car and being in the back seat when she's doing the showing. You know what I'm saying? I would go into me and my sister would play a game. We would go in and we would try to detective who lives here. You know what I mean? Going through the house and okay, they got these carpets. We're smelling the carpets. They're smokers. You know what I mean? So we would just go through the whole thing and then just and that was my biggest part of it. I remember one year it was Super Bowl. And we were in between all these showings. So I was watching I was asking the owners, can I put on the Super Bowl? So I'm in between houses. We're driving in between. And I'm just watching the Super Bowl as I went because I had money on it.
The real estate doesn't sleep. We talked about that earlier. Yeah, that's true. That's crazy. At all hours of the day, you're always going to have to do something.
Yeah, it's all day long for sure. So so she went there. She started doing the real estate, and then she started flipping as we were doing it. So what she did was when we bought the first house, after she sold the original house that we were in after the divorce, and then we moved into a condo. Okay. And she remodeled the condo while we lived there. So we would sleep in one bedroom while we were fixing the other. And then we kept on doing that, and then we ended up all sleeping in the living room. You know what I mean? Anything it took. So she ended up selling that one, and she made profit. And then that's when we decided, okay, we're gonna start flipping.
And that's how that momentum kicked in of hey, this is a system we can make some good money from flipping houses. And then now I grew up, and then when I became old enough, I went in for the leasing. So she was the seller, and I was the tenant person. So I would take care of any tenants that came in because she had her own real estate office for a while too, Bax Properties. That was before the crash. Right. And so we had that going on, and then so I was helping her out and everything, and I was just learning everything I could, and then I was helping with the flips. I was the guy breaking down the walls, and and doing the work. Nice. And then so as we were going and doing these inspections, the houses, and I'm seeing all these inspectors come through the door. Right. You know what I mean? And what was really bothering me at the time is because I'm full of soot, I'm dirty, I'm broken, you know what I mean? I'm all jacked up, and this guy walks in with his phone, takes a couple pictures, and leaves with a $500 check. And I'm why do I have a hammer in my hand? You know what I mean? I want that guy's job. So then we started thinking about it, and we ended up going in. It was in my mind when I first started seeing those inspectors come in. And then what happened was I was selling a house in Berwyn. And the inspector came in, and he was the rudest guy I've ever met. Yeah, I don't know the company. I didn't hire him. The buyers did. Yeah. Extremely rude. Because I was hey, I want to shadow you. I want to know. I want to see what you look for. What I mean? I'm trying to learn. It blew right past me. Then the house wasn't done. There was still things that we had to do. And he just blew up on us. He's oh, well, nothing's done. This is an incomplete report. I'm not going to do it, and blah, blah, blah. But it's man, if you took the time to listen, I was going to let you know that I'm paying for you to come back
So you're going to make 2 checks right here if you just wait. But yeah, again, super rude. And then, so he ended up leaving and then coming back. The buyer ended up wanting to use him. Yeah. So he came back and he was, again, even the report was rude. So he was like commenting on craftsmanship, and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be on the report. Right. It doesn't pertain to, yeah. And that's when I was like, you know what? There's a need here for like customer friendly home inspectors. Right. It's there. Like, because every inspector I met was like basically an engineer. You know what I mean? That they're guys, they're workers, you know what I mean? And they had no customer service etiquette. So from there, that's when we went to school. I went to Triton College. And then
when was all this? Like, when did this take place?
This was City Home so this would be like 6 years ago.
6 years ago?
Okay. Yeah. So from there we were doing both. So I was flipping and I was doing the inspection.
Gotcha.
And then, just helping out and everything like that with everything that she needed. And then from there we took off, and it really did help the context that we had from being previous realtors, right? Because there was already people that we knew, you know what I mean? Right. So we were able, like, we already had like a following for real estate, and then we just completely turned and it turned out to be really well.
Yeah, and one thing I really love about the way you guys approach the inspection of any home is you come from an educational standpoint. Right. So specifically for me, I work with a lot of first time home buyers, and usually the inspection is the scariest part of the process for them because they don't know what to expect, and they're always thinking, what's the worst thing that can happen with this house, right? But you guys come in from that educational point, and I've been able to, just by being involved in a bunch of these inspections, I feel like I've learned some stuff to look out for too, to help me better prepare my clients. Next time I'm going to see a house, I know, like, hey, you've got old plumbing here, you've got things that you might need to address, and so you pick up on these things, which is awesome, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I like there's a lot of agents that don't show up. You know what I mean? And I encourage everybody, man. You want to go to these because and that's something that Baxi did, my mom did. Yeah. When she became licensed for real estate, she was like, man, how am I going to sell a house? I don't know what a house has, right?
Right. Yeah.
So she took, actually, when she first got licensed, she took a home inspection course just to learn the anatomy of the home. Okay. So she did that just to know. And then she had these tips and tricks, and then now you you do
for sure.
Like one that we do is we'll take like a napkin and we'll put it by the exhaust fan, so that it's taking in the air. It's actually working. That's a nice little thing that people, it's a good touch. But like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So there's a lot of little things like that. But that's always been kind of what City Home Inspectors was. It's all about education and safety. You know what I mean? I got to educate you, and I always say I want like a newborn baby to walk into this house and be able to survive. You know what I mean? True. So that's what we always try to look for those things.
Yeah, and again, it's specifically important for first-time home buyers, right? Because again, as a first-time buyer, I bought my first property, 3-4 years ago, and you don't know what you're getting yourself into when you look at a property. I mean, and a lot of times, especially with like the remodeled houses, you see everything that's kind of on the surface, but you don't know what's underneath. For sure. And that's the important part of the inspection. Yeah. And even for like a new construction, you definitely still want to get an inspection so that you know kind of what you're getting yourself into fully. And better prepare yourself to manage and maintain this home for however long you plan on living there.
Yeah, and I always say, like, new construction, old construction, it doesn't matter. Right. It should always be done. Because there's not one property that I've ever been to in the last 6 years that has not had an issue. Right. Every single one. You're bound to find something. There's always going to be something, and if I don't find something, I got to go back to school. You know what I mean? Like, that means I'm not doing my job because there's always going to be something. There will always be something.
Yeah, that's very true, man.
Yeah, so it's something.
So City Home Inspectors started 6 years ago, and like obviously your mom was very involved as well. She was also an inspector too, right? Yeah. And how did you guys kind of start scaling and growing? Because now you've got what? How many inspectors?
So now we have a team of 10.
10 inspectors, and that's just here in Illinois, right?
So that's both here in Illinois and in Florida as well.
In Florida,
so we have like 2 guys in Sarasota, Florida. Okay. That's actually where Baxi went. She went out to Florida, and she's opening up out there. So we're trying to get that Florida market too.
That's awesome.
And basically, because it was just me and her at the beginning, And we started getting all this volume. So we're like, man, like people are really responding to our way of doing it.
Right. Yeah.
And like I said, because we, from being realtors, we know what a realtor needs or what you need. Like how she holds on to her MLS.
Yeah.
She still has her license, so we use the MLS to book for you guys.
Right.
Because there is times where it's like, hey, the agent does call that one agent, but or they forget to call.
Right.
So we try to, I always tell people, hey, try to call them anyway. You know what I mean? To help us out too. But it's just so that we can make sure that everything is booked correctly.
Right. Everything's coordinated. Yeah.
Right. So we use that, and then that's why we emphasize on 24-hour turnaround. Because it's needed. You guys have 5 days. You have 5 days to get all this ready to go. And so that's why we want to get you that report instantly.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because, that attorney review part of the process, those first 5 days are so crucial, right? You have the earnest money deposit that has to be delivered, usually within the first or second day, right? And then right away you want to try to get that inspection scheduled so that you can then review it. And if there's any changes or modifications that need to be done, or if you need to request anything, you have time. The attorney has time to kind of put all that together and send that out, so that we can kind of start that part of the process. So, it's that time, the efficiency and time that you guys provide is such just a valuable aspect that a lot of people, I don't think they realize how important that is. Yeah,
that's why I know when we first got licensed, it was like, I think they give you 72 hours. You're allowed 72 hours to give somebody the report.
The report?
Yeah, like legally, you have 72 hours, but I just felt like it's too long. 3 days when you have 5 day attorney review, like, if you just got it, like you're on day 1 when you're calling me. If I get there day 2 and then I get it to you day 5, then you're screwed. You have no way to pivot. And especially because my report, I'm going to say contact a plumber or a contractor or what have you to further evaluate and correct. If I do it this way and you get it on your last day, you don't have no time for that.
You don't have time to do anything. Yeah, exactly.
To sit there and, try to get a quote and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And try to, like, how you're going to negotiate it down. So that's why we try to keep it quick.
Yeah, that part of the process is definitely very efficient on your on you guys' end.
Right.
Awesome, man. So, you expanded now. Obviously, you've got a bunch of inspectors that work for you guys. What do you think that helped with that transition? Like, what made you guys go from, hey, just us doing things, and now be like, hey, we need to hire more inspectors. We're getting so busy. We need more people.
Yeah, that's exactly what did it. It got really busy, and we're like, man, there's no way. And I didn't want to say no to anybody. I don't want to say, no, I can't do your inspection. It's money. You know what I mean?
I'm overbooked. You don't want
to yeah, I don't want to say that. You know what I mean? So that's when, from there, we went and we hired 2 other guys at the beginning. I don't think they're with us anymore, both of those guys. Mm-hmm. But we hired those 2 guys, and then we would just go with them. And that was our thing at the beginning, it was always, you're going to get 2 people.
Right.
So we all went together, you know what I mean? And then it went from there. So like, it was always like, I'm helping them out while they're doing their thing. And then we started getting more. Now, like, 'cause since we had the more guys, then we got more business. So now, okay, we got to hire somebody else. And then it went, and then somebody else, and it got busier and busier. And now, I think I was looking at the numbers a little bit before I came through. This month alone, this is the first week or second week of March?
First week of March.
Yeah. I am 50% more in home inspections than I was last year. In 1 year, I'm almost doubled my numbers, and in the first 2 weeks of the month, of this month only. Yeah. So it's scaling hard, and then that's why we're trying to keep up with it and get it going. I even have, like, those are my inspectors, but now I have admins. So I have a woman that answers the phones, coordinators and everything like that. So it's getting hard for even me to get out there anymore. I try as best as I can.
Right.
But it's a lot to manage. So I have to watch this and that. You know what I mean? And kind of like, so I'm kind of like getting out of inspecting and getting into business owner. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I guess it happens with everybody.
Yeah, you were definitely wearing multiple hats when you try to run and scale a business for sure, man. There's a lot of moving parts that people don't realize. So, and it's about keeping that consistency from when you started, right? Making sure that your quality control is there, making sure that the same level of service is there as well. So I think you guys have done an awesome job of keeping that steady as you've increased and scaled. So what would be like a good piece of advice for somebody, let's say that they want to become a home inspector, or they just want to get into like the home inspection business?
Yeah.
What's something that has helped you, in your career?
Yeah, like you said, consistency. You know what I mean? You need to be consistent, and you need to really just know what you're trying to say. You know what I mean? And having it that way, because like I know you. I mean, I looked at us. I think we did 110 inspections for you. That's last time I checked. I was like, wow, that's that many. That's
a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. We did over 100.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I should buy him a bottle or something. But yeah, so the thing that you would notice is that every single one of my guys sounds exactly the same.
Yeah.
They all they're all uniform. They're all trained the same way. They're all like taught to do it, and that's what we sell. It's consistent. So you don't have to worry about, I want this inspector, that inspector. All my guys are uniform.
Right.
So it's staying consistent and staying on it. And also, like, if you're opening your business, the social media is so powerful now. And it's the consistency on that alone. Posting every day your findings, posting what you do. Because what I do is we have our guys, when they go on location, they make a quick 5-second video.
Right.
Of the front door, like this, back and forth.
Yeah.
And then we put it on our social media page. Hey, this is one house we're doing today. This is the other house. So every single day, I'm putting these videos up. So people know, hey, we're still doing it. Because if you're quiet for a day, people think you stop.
Yeah. That's true, right? Yeah.
So that's how people treat you. If they don't see
action, they're going to think they're
not doing that anymore. Yeah. And the hardest part is starting. Once it's just getting the ball rolling. You know what I mean?
To become an inspector, what's that process like? There's schooling involved,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a course that you have to take. It's about 90 hours.
Okay.
You can take it online, or you can go to a college, community college. That's what I did. I went to Triton.
Okay.
And from there, after that, you have to do like a certain amount of hours, like shadowing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you have to do some shadowing hours. And then you get your license, whatever, after you pass the test. The hardest part of this process is that test, the state test.
Okay.
But the cool thing is, if you do like the 90-hour course, this license is universal. So if you decide, hey, I want to move to Arizona. States? Yeah. So if I wanted to go, like, move to Florida, all I have to do is go to Florida and just take their state test. I mean, their city test.
Okay.
So my license will carry weight. All I have to do is go over there and just whatever extra that they need.
So they're teaching you in the course. They're teaching you kind of all different home styles, no matter what part of the U.S. basically.
Yeah.
Because I know obviously here, like we look at some southern states. They may not need a heating system or whatever.
Or they don't have basements.
Or they don't have basements. Exactly.
Or like a big thing that was in my test when I was taking it was there was a lot of stuff about in-ground pools. Okay. And I'm like, man, there's not a lot of in-ground pools. I'm never gonna inspect an in-ground pool. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like that's all in there. So it's everything. It's a blank slate of everything. Okay. And even the types of shingles that are on there, like metal. Have you seen a metal roof? Only on a shed, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's all on there. You have to learn everything.
Wow.
That book's like that thick. You know what I mean?
You get very well versed in
for sure
all aspects of the property.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then it goes down. So you have to go, like, basically that book is, read that whole book and you should be good. And then you do your shadowing, and then after that you're licensed and you can do your own thing from there.
Now, is it similar to like the real estate license where you have to like be sponsored by someone, or once you get your license as a home inspector, you can kind of start your own business and do your own thing?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. You can just start your own business and then do your own thing. You don't have to worry. Yeah, you don't have to. No one has to hold the license or anything like that. You know what I mean? So you just get to it. And like I said, we are always hiring, and then there's always, whenever someone comes in, they get the training from us, and then of course people are going to go their own way. It happens,
right? Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I try to hold a culture that keeps people in,
for sure.
And from there, it's just like I said, it's really just the consistency, and then just being through it, and then once you pass the course and you get going, it's just being out there for sure.
Just getting out there and just doing some inspections and
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, you guys had such a good relationship from the previous experience, with your mom being a realtor in the past and everything. Right. You just started to build some solid relationships, and that kind of helped you guys get to at least take a step in the right direction and helping you with that momentum of getting clientele, right? Yeah,
that definitely did help. It was a good start, having that in there where it was like, okay, well, at least we know some people, and and like that, it did really help out to know people to really like that kind of trusted us already from that background.
Yeah.
You know, they saw us, and like I said, we've always been on social media when it was popping off. We were going in there and we were like, you know, blasting all the flips we were doing.
Right.
So people are like, okay, well, they were flippers. They got to know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
and I'm sure that experience definitely helps you guys as well, right?
Yeah, because then I kind of knew what the work entailed. When I first came in, I was doing the work. Right. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I know exactly. Like now I can't give pricing to save my life because inflation and everything that's going on. And then it's been like 7 years since I did a house.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I can't price anymore. But like when I first started, I had that knowledge. You know what I mean? And I have the people too. And because of the flipping, I have a nice database for like workers that you need.
Okay.
So like I have a list, like people that I worked with that I know that are credible. Yeah. You know, I got a list of these guys that, you know, and I hand them out to my clients and hey, you know, like whatever happens. Right. It's between y'all. This is just the number you take and you call him. You deal with that yourself. But yeah, so that helped out too. It's like, hey, like we offer a lot of information. We have a lot to offer for any agent. Yeah. You know, and I love doing like the seminars that we do and coming out and meeting everybody. That's kind of more my thing. Okay. You know, like this is more my like you're not gonna see backstage. This is more my speed is like, you know, the podcast and like coming out and talking and everything like that.
So from getting the license, doing your own, you know, starting off, you can start off on your own and just kind of take off. Yeah, so somebody who just started, got their license, you know, they passed their exam for inspection, what would be like a piece of advice you would give them to kind of help them boost up their business besides consistency?
Software.
You
need your software. Okay. So like there are different apps that you can like subscribe to or what have you to help you build that report on site. Yeah. So a lot of people, what they do is they like to do like pen and paper, or they take the pictures while they're on site and then they go home. And then they do fill out the report, and that's what takes people forever. That's why it's going to take you so long. Because imagine if I go into a house, you know, you've seen our reports can be like 90 pages long.
Right? Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're pretty big. Yeah. And if I'm just taking photos as I'm walking through and then going home, how much am I going to forget? A. Yeah. True. And then how much is going to get lost? B. And then how long is it going to take me? C. True. You know what I mean? How long is it? So this inspection, I was there for 2 hours, give or take. Right. Yeah. And then I take these pictures. That 2 hours that I was there, I could have been building that report. Why am I doing it this way? And then I'm going to come home for another hour. And then now I got to build this report. And how much is that going to, how long is this? Another 4 hours? Right. So this 2 hour job just turned into a 6 hour job. It wasn't needed, you know?
Yeah. And then let's say you do 2 inspections on the same day and you're doing that process. I mean, you might confuse things from one house to the other or something. Right. Like it can get.
I had one guy that we hired. He was telling me that the guy that worked with him, that he worked with before, that he did his training hours with. Yeah. He said that at each property he takes 350 pictures.
Damn.
He said that you should not have no less than 350 pictures, but 350 pictures of nothing. You know what I mean? Right. Like paint on the floor, or you know, or some like cosmetic stuff. And he has all that. Then that when he goes home, he puts it in his computer and he skims through 350 photos.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
You're overworking it. And I have my software is I have everything written out already. I mean, I'm doing this for 5 years, so we have everything that I can see or will find is already pre-written in my report. Yeah. So I find what it is, I check it off, and I take a picture of it, and it's in there.
Nice.
So yeah.
So software, systems, and processes to kind of make things
for sure
smoother, right? Just, Yeah, because without that, it's kind of impossible to scale too, right? If you're still going that old school route of having to write everything down, like, it kind of makes it very difficult to scale.
Yeah, I did have actually a client today. They're like, oh yeah, so are you guys gonna mail me the report? And I'm like, I'm gonna email you the report. No, I want it paper. I'm like, I'm gonna email it to you as a PDF, and you can print it out if you want to. Yeah. But you know, like it's all about efficiency.
We're living in a digital age now.
Right? Yeah. Like you know,
you got to use the technology that's there, man.
Yeah, it's here, and it makes it all faster. You know, I think today we had, how many did we have today? Today alone, I think there was at least 6 inspections that I had the guys out there do. Okay. Right, and all of them are submitted already.
Wow, that's awesome. So by the end of the night,
so they're all done. So once my guys are done, they go into our little group chat and say, "Hey, I'm saved." Then either my brother Edwin or my sister Desiree or me will check the report, make sure it looks good, make sure that okay, are we missing anything, or kind of look at the photos too, you know, because with whoever's admin, and then we send it off. Okay, it's approved, and then now it gets sent in. Nice. And we're good.
That's a smooth process, man.
Yeah, smooth process. Go get it done. Take your photos, plug it all in, and then you're done. Now you go to the next one. Forget about the house. You know what I mean? True. Get it out of your head. Yeah.
Nice, man. Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think have been some of your biggest challenges in kind of growing your business and getting to where you guys are now?
That's a good one. I think it would just be the kind of learning how to deal with because I know at first when I had to like talk and everything, I was very nervous. Okay. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have been able to do this a couple of years ago. Yeah, same. Right? No, same. Yeah. So like I was like, yeah, like very, very hard to like really talk and everything. I never knew what to do with my hands. Right. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know what to do with it. Yeah. I was like, I want to cut them off. You know what I mean? So it was just like learning on how to like get that fine tuned and how to sound like I'm making sense. Right. True. Even though like, yeah, I'm like, I know exactly how it's supposed to sound on paper. But how to explain it to somebody that has no idea what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Right. So that was something that we all had to kind of learn, like how to approach this, how to teach them what we're learning. Yeah. And then, but yeah, I think that was it. Like, really just getting into the flow. Okay. And then once we got into that, once you find your comfort zone and like what you're prepared,
what works for you,
works for you, then just scale that. Yeah. Just have that take its own.
For sure, man. I think in any industry, it's really like you said. It's fine tuning your system, your strategies on what works for your business, and then once you figure out what that is, going all in on it and scaling it and growing that as much as you can. Awesome, man. So when it comes to inspections, I know you mentioned you guys do. Every guy does. Do you have them split up like by coordinates or city? How does the breakdown like? So for routes and
it really depends. So every guy lives in their own prospective neighborhood, right? So we tried to put them as close as home as possible. Okay. But it really just depends on how the day goes. We don't know exactly. Like I had an inspection today in Wakanda. I didn't even know there was a Wakanda, Illinois.
Oh yeah,
I was
that's far real? South, right?
Yeah, it's south. I'm like, wow, that's like messing with me. I was like, man, I love this. I was like, I gotta go to that one that I saw how far it was. No, I'm not gonna go there. Yeah. But yeah, so like we go everywhere. So it just depends. So like you live south, so you're gonna have to go down there. Mm-hmm. And then, but we keep it fair too because we have mouths to feed. So everybody is like, okay, well, hey, this one's a little farther from you, but it's a job. You want to do it? You want to take it or not? You know what I mean? And normally the thing is with the guys is when they go, I mean, they're there for 2 hours. You know what I mean? It's a 2-hour gig, and then you're done for the day.
Yeah, typically that's like between depending on the size of the house, I assume too, right?
The size of the house and the condition. So what we tend to do is if it's a big property or if it's like more than 3 units, for a multifamily, we would send more than one guy. Got it. So yeah, so those 2 guys, and then we split them up. Like, okay, well then this is what you're doing. And then this is what you're doing. So this guy's going to focus on these things, right, and you're going to focus on those things. They split up and they do their thing, and then they come back at the end to explain everything to the customer.
And go through the report together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like how we had it when we first came out. Like we would split it up. It was like, okay, well, you do this and I do that. And that's what made it faster. You know what I mean? Like we're not both doing the same thing. We're kind of both doing our own thing. And then so that we always had that. That's how we started, and then that's how we keep it going. So then it's only for the bigger houses. So single family houses now we normally send just one guy.
Just one guy, yeah.
Depending. So and it also depends on like the extra services that you get, right? Because we do everything in house. So we have mold, radon, sewer scope, termite, all in house.
So those are if somebody wants to add that as an additional service for their inspection, they can. Yes. They can do it through you guys and get it done. Yeah,
we're like a one-stop shop. Yeah. Everything, all your home inspection needs, you come to us, and we can all get it done the same day. Yeah. So like special, like I call it special forces, like all the guys doing the extra jobs, depending on if you get those, is who's going to come out with it. You know what I mean? Makes sense. I would have my inspector come just to do the inspection, and another guy come to do those add-ons. You know what I mean? Depending. Like radon, they just drop a box and it sits there for 2 days, and then so it's nothing. So then I just send my radon guy out there to do both. But for sewer, I mean, they have to open up it's the main stack. So the sewer line, for those that don't know, it's the line that goes from your toilet water
to
everything to the city. So we want to check that line, and we always say, like, if the house is more than 15 years old, you want to check that, because back then they used clay tiles. You know what I mean? And the earth is always moving. Or if it's near like
trees, right? Like roots and stuff.
That, and then the trees.
Yeah.
So with the clay tiles is, earth is always moving, clay breaks. So if you have a break or a crack, and then you have basically your sewage going through there and it's leaking into your soil, that's not a good idea.
Right.
And then also with the trees is these tree roots coming in and blocking it. So if there's a blockage, then your stuff isn't going to go through, and it's going to come back into the home, and no one wants that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We want to get rid of that. So we'll have them go in through there and check that as well, and then we'll just recommend it. It's a camera that goes in all the way through, and then we take the snapshots and we show you what it looks like. So that's another one.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's basically just your one-stop shop for everything from the inspection to any other services that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys still do the home binder stuff?
So home binder was something that we did for a while.
Okay.
But we ended up canceling it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was something that was like a good idea, but it turned out that no one was really using it.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, it's all this extra effort, and like, I had people like that. I would send them everything to get into it, and they would never log in. It tells me if they opened it.
Oh,
so they would never even open it. So I was like, okay, well, people aren't really, they're not utilizing it. They're not utilizing it. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, let's just go ahead and we canceled it, and no one said anything. So we didn't say anything. We're like, okay, let's just stop. And then,
nobody knows.
No one noticed. So it's like, okay.
And I think that's a very important part of just running a business, right? Is like you try things,
right?
And depending on the feedback or the responses, you either pivot, try something else, or you go full force with that thing again. So. I think that's definitely key.
Yeah. You have to kind of see where your time is worth. What's your time worth spending on?
Exactly.
If this is something that people aren't responding to, then why put the man hours? Because the thing is, I got to pay someone to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because with the home binder, what we were doing is we were taking the serial numbers to your furnaces or what have you into this system, so that way it can cross reference it for you. Right. It helps you like look it up basically.
Okay.
So we would put that in there for you when we would give it to you, and then you had it ready. But we had to manually put those in. So I had to go in there and go into the report again. Okay, here's all of my serial number, boom, boom, boom. And then it's going to take me an hour or so to go through everything you have, and then put it in there and send it to you, and you don't open it.
At that point it doesn't make sense.
So we're like, okay, so no one's biting, so we just moved away from it.
Okay.
But yeah, and then so we have all those, and then like I said, we always have somebody on standby on the phones.
Okay.
So if for some, I know like there was a lot of people with COVID that weren't showing up to inspections. So they weren't trying to come because of COVID or whatever. So like what we started doing is on the phone. So like after the inspection, the next day or what have you, we would call the client and we would pull up the report and we'll go through the whole thing. Yeah. Even if the client was there, I give them that option. I call them the next day and say, hey, I just want to check on everything, make sure you're all good, make sure you got the report okay. Right. Then you have any questions, you want to go through it. And then if they're like, yeah, I want to go through it, but I'm working. All right, let's set a time and date, and we'll go through the whole thing with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that's good. I think that gives them a little bit of that extra peace of mind too.
Yeah, because the thing is, like I said earlier, this is a 90-page report.
Yeah, it's
it's
very
a
lengthy.
lot. It's a lot of information. And the thing is, when we're there in person, I'm throwing all this information at you. It's a lot to absorb.
Yeah.
And if you don't absorb it all, if it leaks out, you're gonna forget a couple things. It's good to be able to call back and be like, hey, so this is something I'm seeing, or I remember him talk about this. Right. And it helps us out too, because there might have been something that he mentioned or he took a picture of and he forgot to put it in. Oh, True. Yeah, I do remember this, or what have you. So that happens. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it helps. So I recommend every client go. I recommend every agent go. Right. Both sides.
I feel like as an agent and as a buyer, I mean, you're going to learn something about the inspection.
Everything.
You're going to learn how to best maintain that property.
Yeah.
And it's better to know then and there. You physically see it. They can explain it to you. Obviously, you're going to get the report afterwards, and you can review that as well. But being there, being present.
The verbal inspection is very important. You know what I mean? Because it's they're going to remember the most of that. They're not going to remember my phone call afterwards.
Right. True. Yeah.
So it's my guy being there, making sure that he's customer friendly and he's on point, and then that he's able to explain to them exactly what's going on. Because there's a lot of times, hey, yeah, so this guy he saw this and that, And they're like, oh yeah, I remember him telling me this, or I remember this, or I remember that. You know what I mean? So it's the verbal part is the most. It's the face of my company. That's the guy that's going to come out and do it.
Yeah, true.
So it's
that's what they'll definitely remember for sure.
Yeah, that's your main thing, and that's what I remember. That one inspector that was rude from me, and then and caused all this. It makes a huge impact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it really just depends on who you are, and just for anybody that was getting into this, I would say the customer service is really important.
Yeah, and I would say definitely as a buyer going through an inspection, man, ask questions. Like
for sure.
There's you're paying for that service. That you're having the inspector come out and look at the property. Ask questions if you see something that you aren't sure of. Just ask, right? Like you guys are always open to.
Yeah, for sure. I tell people, ask all your questions. Have it ready. Whatever you have. If you want to take some notes or you want to write some stuff down. I mean, I always kind of say, let my guy get started. Give him a couple minutes, and then and then he'll explain everything, and then whatever questions you have, ask everything that you paid for that time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's they're not cheap. You know what I mean? No. So I that's why I say, like, whenever someone's like, I'm not going, I'm like, you want to be there.
And it's a worthwhile investment if you're going through the buying process, because
for sure
you never want to skip out on the inspection and not know what you're getting yourself into, right? Yeah. So I definitely say it's well worth the money. It's well worth the money. Knowing what you're getting yourself into, knowing what that house is going to look like.
Yeah, and I did see that there was like a lot of these properties now that they're trying to forego inspections, saying, if you inspect it, then I'm going to go somewhere else because I got 15 deals on the table. Mm-hmm. If they tell you that, I mean, there's why? What's the reason? Like, exactly. What are we trying not to find here? You know what I mean? True. Like, there's like, I get that we want to get it done quickly, but I mean, like I said, my turnaround is 24 hours. So like, what's the excuse?
Right.
You know what I mean?
True, man.
So
awesome. Well, one last piece here. Sure. Motivation. What drives you? What drives your business, and where do you see it in like the next 5-10 years?
Well, what drives me is the family. You know what I mean? It started with my mom. Your family
works with you guys.
My whole we all work. It's a family business. Like I said, it's my mom, me, my brother, my sister are basically the ones running everything. So and that's what drives me. You know what I mean? Like this, it's been in my family, it's been in my blood. And this is and helping them succeed and helping all of us. Because helping me and helping her is gonna it makes everything worthwhile. So that's a big motivation, and obviously the kids, you know what I mean? So my family is what pushes me. And then like there was, times you don't want to do it, or it sucks, or you don't want to be there.
You have your off days,
yeah, like everyone has them. Yeah. But then that's when you could turn around and you got your mom behind you, you got your brother behind you, and they're ready for you. It makes it worth it. Yeah, it makes it worth it for sure.
Cool. So, and then 5-10 years, what's the game plan for
5-10 years? Bigger, better. More.
I love it. Yeah, bigger, better, more. Dude, that's
bigger, better, more. Yeah. So I want to, we want to try to get to other states if we can, other cities if we can, and just I want to be like my initial thought when we first, I want to be the Uber of home inspections. You know what I mean?
Everywhere.
Whenever, everywhere you think. Yeah, city home inspectors. It fits every town, right? So
there you go.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
and then also we're actually starting a podcast as well. So that's something that I'm working. It's kind of my baby right now that I'm working on. So it's in pre-production right now. Dreams to Realty Success is what we're calling it.
Nice.
And it's kind of what you're doing here. Talking to people in the real estate world about like what got you here and what keeps you going. You know what I mean? So. That's something that I'm plugging in now.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Where can people find you guys?
So
best way to book
is either online or on the phone. So the website is cityhomeinspectors.com. You can book online there. It shows all the pricings on there, all the information about us. You can see our reviews. After that, if you're not too tech savvy, you can always call. There's someone always on the phone. The phones are open from 9 to 7 every single day.
Okay.
And that number is 866-422-9843.
Perfect.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for taking the time and sharing your journey with us. The City Home Inspectors have been awesome. I always highly recommend you guys. So appreciate you taking the time, man. Thank you guys for listening. Catch you next time.
Cool.
Yep.